Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Juggernaut, and this is Project Zomboid, and a several-hour-long video, probably. Well, I don't know how long I'm going to make it, but my idea was, instead of doing a New Year's stream, because, well, I won't be home, be out into another city, plus I don't really do live streams. I don't mind them, to be honest with you, but it's just that they're not really my thing. Much prefer other type of content, namely YouTube videos, shorts, and the likes. So, either way, but I do want to do something sort of in the vague style of a live stream, and to me that is a couple of hours of playing a video game I've never played before on the channel, and talking about various things, some of which are going to be channel related, some of which are going to be random. And treat this generally more like a vlog of sorts, I suppose. Excuse me for a second. I forgot to close the door fully. Either way, like I said, to treat this sort of more like a... not really a vlog, even though I said that. More like a live... what was it? Oh, God. I'm stumbling over my words already. To treat this... fitness contraption, interesting. More like a podcast of sorts. That's the word I'm looking for. And to just, you know, sit back, listen to it mostly, and if you're interested in the game, look a little bit in the general direction of, I suppose, but overall, that's the format and the rough idea of how this is supposed to be like. So, Project Zomboid received a very, very big update recently. Among other things, it added a whole ton of items. Jesus. Sorry about that. Added a whole ton of items, and perhaps, much more importantly, it added multiplayer. Which, as you can see, we are making a lot of use of. Well, not really, but either way, let's get to it. This is a good starting area. I mean, I can make my base here. I mean, I will need to fence this off, and that's going to take a lot of materials, but... Huh? That's not bad, not bad. Either way, I also want to talk about what I've been doing generally with my life and everything, because I do have some exciting news, something that might be useful to you, maybe not, but, you know, something that I definitely feel like is worth sharing because, well, because I feel like, well, not simply because I want to talk about something and make a video, but rather I do think that there is some value in hearing these things, is what I'm trying to get at. Well, first of all, I've mentioned this a couple of times before, but I got a job. Well, partially, but kind of for real too. And I'll explain what my job is, and I'll explain why I think it's awesome, and also why I think I need to lower the audio. All of the audio. There we go, much better. I, as you may or may not be aware, have graduated very recently. And because of this graduation of mine, I needed to move on with my life and do something else. One of the options was to get a job immediately, which is a terrible idea, at least in my country. Generally speaking, though, if you do well academically, getting a job immediately afterwards is not the best thing you can do. Getting a job and doing something else is a great idea because, you know, one, you earn money and you can afford stuff, and on top of that, you are building your career in a way, right? That's not just your portfolio and your CV in the sense of, oh, I was employed here. No, you're also doing something else, and for me, the something else is a master's degree. Now, they're fairly common in my country. Matter of fact, okay, so they're not as common as regular degrees, which, to be fair, aren't that common to begin with, if you take a look at the number of people that have one, but generally people that go to university and finish university rarely stop there. Most of them go on to get a master's degree. The reason being, it just helps a lot with having a job, and helps a lot with just employment, with getting interviews, with the salary. It's way higher if you have a master's degree. The different opportunities you can have. There's a whole bunch of professions that you cannot get into unless you have a master's degree in something, anything. So that's kind of the reason. However, there is something useful to be, I guess, taken out of my entire experience here, and something that I want to share a bit of friendly advice, if I can. And the reason I feel like I don't want to say am allowed, but the reason I feel at ease sharing advice like this is because I've personally lived through it, and this has been my sort of personal experience. This is not hearsay, this is not word of mouth, this is something that I've experienced personally, like I said. So, what I mean is, it's a lot easier for me to tell you, you should do this, or I think you should keep this in mind, because that's what I'm doing, and I think I'm doing rather well for myself. So, in that sense, I guess I'm trying to answer the question of, who are you to give me advice, and what makes me qualified? Well, now I've lived through and experienced certain things, and yeah, it's just at the very least hearing about them will make you richer for unexperience. Agree or disagree with it. That's kind of that basis covered. So, what the hell am I talking about? Well, there are internships, right? And generally, they are horrible. I mean, there's no beating around the bush. Internships generally are horrible. You are either not paid, or paid minimum wage, or less. And the reality of the internship is you don't get much out of it. Sure, you get something nice to put on your CV, and you get maybe a little bit of experience, but generally speaking, internships, especially in my country, aren't that great. However, it's about planning, and you don't have to plan months ahead, years ahead. You can plan, something out a couple of days before. You can plan something out on the spot, but it's about perspective and thinking ahead, right? And thinking why you're doing something, should you be doing it, and most importantly of all, is there a better way to do it? So here's what I did. Took a master's degree. The courses are on the weekends, right? All of the courses are on the weekends. Turns out a master's degree is actually kind of easy. The exams are pretty darn easy. I'll be brutally honest with you. I think they're a lot easier than the basic degree, the regular graduation stuff, right? It's called completely differently in different countries, so I'm not sticking to one nomenclature. But yeah. Point is, I think the exams and generally what you have to do and the stuff you learn is either a repetition of what you already know, or what you already know with slight modifications. Now, there is academic writing, a lot of it in a master's degree, and that's something that I'm currently struggling with. Well, it's currently something I'm doing, and it's work. It just takes time. It's nothing too difficult, it just takes time and practice and effort. Either way, I took the master's degree, and as part of my master's degree, I have to do 2 internships. Now, here's the thing. Without my master's degree, I probably would have had to, yeah, I'm an English major, by the way, would have had to do an internship either way. Simply because I have very little in the way of experience. I don't have no experience. I've worked 2 jobs before, mostly part-time, mostly not well paid, but I have done, some work, which is more than a lot of people. So, with that said, I then started looking at different internship options, and as it turns out, because I've taken my master's degree, one of the options available to me was to work in the actual university where I'm taking my master's degree, and teach English to students who are not on the English course, but would rather, but would like to have a certificate in English. This is a phenomenal opportunity for multiple reasons, and I guess the entire point of me even sharing this story is kind of to tell you what I've been doing and how it's going, and also to tell you that you might want to do something like this in your field as well. Maybe not, in the university where you're attending, because that's not an option, but you might want to consider something like this. The reason I'm saying that is because, A, you do an internship which I would have done anyway. I would have had to. First. Second of all, it's a paid internship. Now, it doesn't pay well. Matter of fact, the pay's kind of shite. It's less than minimum wage. But it's better than free, which pretty much all of the other ones that are by default available to people that take the master's course are. They're all not paid. One of the options is you can go to a local school and attend there and be like a substitute teacher for a month or 2 months. No, actually, it's 2 months. Completely, you won't see a dime from it. You won't be paid at all. You can do the same with private English schools. Again, you won't be paid. There's a couple of other things for English majors that they can do, most of which result in the same sentence: you will not be paid for this. I will. Which, given the fact that I'm spending a fair bit of time on the weekdays doing this, I might as well take some money out of it. But that's not the entire thing. No. See, this isn't any kind of internship. It's an internship where you work in a university. A internationally acknowledged university. And you get a certificate telling you that, or rather, telling your future potential employers that, yes, you've worked at a university. How many 20-something-year-olds can say, I've worked at a university and that was my first job? You see, that looks bloody phenomenal on a CV. Furthermore, you get a very, very, very good bit and valuable bit of experience. Because you are left in charge of an entire class of people. And the way they've set up the course is, it's pretty much all up to me. Now, with this comes great power and great freedom, but also great responsibility, because at the end of the day, if I mess something up, it's on me. Which is a good thing. I actually really like that, because, A, it makes it so that I need to really focus on what I'm doing, and not mess up, but at the same time, it allows me a lot of freedom where I can figure things out for myself. I can make deals with my students about, when we're going to do what, how we're going to do things, how I'm going to grade them. Because at the end of the day, the grades that they get and the certificate that they get, I'm going to personally sign and vouch for. If it turns out that they have a B1 English certificate and don't know enough for the language level of B1, my arse is on the line. I'm fucked. My whole credibility is brought into question. More than likely, I will never work in a serious... never. I will not work in a serious educational institution like university, high school, or something for a very, very long time. And this is the kind of responsibility that, honestly, I wanted. Now, it might sound scary, especially if it's your first time teaching, but it's not. I held some online lessons before. Point being, though, it's responsibility, but it's also very, very valuable. Because you take something like that on yourself, and you realize that, maybe it's scary right now. Maybe, you're new to this right now, and you're not expecting it, and maybe... you'd rather start off easier, but you gotta understand that when you get a job, when you get a proper, well-paid job, it's the same thing. If you seriously muck up, it's your ass on the line. There's nobody gonna be there to take the fall for you. And so, as a result, this is a great sort of lesson and a great opportunity to learn and get that experience in all forms, shapes, and senses. Plus, not to mention that because you work in a university, opportunities for jobs are much better without that certificate. The opportunity to work afterwards, a fully paid employee in the exact same university, a couple of months or a year or two later, also increases exponentially, which is a great thing. And on top of that, because of my master's course, after this is done, I'm going to have to take another internship, which, I mean, I have to take. It's part of the master's course. I do 2 internships, I do a couple of exams, and I'm done. Think of it as a substitution for lessons. And the other internship is probably going to be paid too, but even if it's not, it's more people that you've met, more stuff to put in your CV, more experience. It's bloody phenomenal. So either way, what I'm saying is you really should be looking at opportunities like that rather than, and obviously there's nothing wrong with this, but rather than Burger King or McDonald's or something like that being your go-to, especially if it's not within your field. Now, I understand that opportunities like this are not presented to everyone, and not everyone has the fortune, not everyone has the qualifications, not everyone has just the ability in terms of, you know, they're not given the opportunity at all, ever, to do something like this, and I'm very fortunate that I was given that opportunity, of course, but what I'm saying is you want to plan forward a little bit, right? You want to see, you know, you don't want to go, oh, I need to get an internship, let me just get whichever one I can find. I mean, fair enough, but you also got to value yourself a little bit, which I wish someone told me at some point during my university life, because we were taught about jobs, and we talked a lot about CVs, how to write them, how to get your name out there, how to get, you know, how to behave in interviews, what to say, some of the honestly cringy and stereotypical and kind of useless questions that companies like to ask, and they don't really even know why they ask them, but they do, because I guess they've been asking questions for years, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Like, really? I mean, there's a correct answer to this, believe it or not. There's a correct, you always say in the company. You never say that you're going to quit. And the reason I'm saying is because it's lies, and the answers to these questions you can learn beforehand, and there's not that many of them. There's like maybe 10, 15, and you can learn the answers to these questions, like what is the best one to give, and you can give that answer, and you know, all of a sudden you're doing great in an interview. Huzzah! Has the interview accomplished anything? Yes, it has accomplished in testing my ability to memorize 10 sentences. I mean, you know, I'm sure there's a better way to vet people, but either way, you know, it's... interviews are kind of lame and bullshit anyway, at least for most big mainstream companies. There are some companies that do great interviews and completely differently. In fact, I have a friend that does job interviews, and he does them completely differently, and kudos to him, because he gets good employees, and you know, that's sort of just how it's done. Either way, the point of this entire spiel was think ahead. You know, think a bit out of the box and think ahead, because sure, internships are cool, but can you sort of twist it around? Can you do something else? And can you do something like me? Like, can you swat 3 flies with 1 stroke? That'd be good if you can. If you can't, then, you know, make sure you pick the right internship for you. Look around a little bit. Get your name out there. There's nothing wrong with being denied. There is... I can't emphasize this enough. You can try and apply for 50 different jobs. And I know a lot of people get discouraged for some reason. There is no reason for you to be discouraged. It's not like you're ever going to be penalized for being turned down at a job offer. You know, quite the opposite. If you ask around a lot, often people appreciate that. Well, often they won't know that you asked. Well, often, 99.9% of the time, they won't know that you've applied for like 50 different companies. But even if they did, they'll often appreciate that, because you want a job, you're motivated, right? You are desperate, maybe, but in a good way. That you want to work, you want to prove yourself, you want to get hired. Companies appreciate this in an employee. So yeah, don't get discouraged because you've been turned down in 1 or 2 or 50 interviews. Just keep grinding, keep going at it. Either way, this is turning into life coach juggernaut, which is not something that I wanted to turn this stream into. But point being, I've managed to fit this all in with YouTube, honestly, pretty darn well. I mean, obviously, I'd like to be producing more videos, but it's not really easy. There's a lot of creative writing to do. I've already written a scientific academic research paper, which I think is the translated abbreviation of it. It is a serious piece of writing, right? It is a serious piece of writing. It is published. It is official as official gets, more or less, right? And it teaches you something that generally students, I think, in the US kind of do have to an extent, because a lot of attention is paid in the US to plagiarism and cheating and stuff like that. Perhaps a lot more than in Europe. However, other places, though, like high school and stuff, you don't really get that. You don't really get that period, right? What it teaches you is responsibility. Now, this is the same kind of responsibility as when you work. No, it teaches you responsibility to the academic community and responsibility to the truth. Oh, what the hell is he talking about now? Where is this rant stream, whatever you want to call it, going? Well, it's going in this direction. It teaches you responsibility to the academic community because you can get quoted on your academic paper. Your academic paper can be used in future academic papers. And at the same time, it will be peer-reviewed. It will be reviewed by your professors. It can be reviewed by anyone else in the academic community of your country. These are serious and important things. But equally importantly, they're also very prestigious things, because not everyone can write a criticism of Shakespeare, or, in my case, something a lot more, well, how do I put this? A lot more contemporary, let's say. A methodological analysis of the adaptation of the Witcher narrative through the video games, the books, and the TV show. Now, what I did, in case you're interested, is I compared them based on the elements described by a particular text in literary theory. So the text says, these are the elements when adapting narrative across media. I found those elements, I explained them, and I talked about why certain changes were made. Possibly. My sort of interpretation on it. And there you go. It's really not that complicated, but at the same time, it teaches you a very valuable lesson. It teaches you very valuable things. Delicious water. Out of a Star Wars Mandalorian cup, which I've bought recently. Oh, not fair. Someone bought it for my birthday. I love the cup. It's really cool. I'm half tempted to show you in a community post, but yeah, never mind. It's completely besides the point. Anyway, so that's me on the academic front, right? Doing that. Job's going pretty well. I teach the students every Tuesday and every Thursday. About an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. And then, obviously, you take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to do the administrative stuff. A little bit more time to prepare the actual lessons and the materials, because, like I said, it's all on me. I'm doing everything. There is nobody to help me. So, yeah, it takes a couple of hours every week. 2 days every week. And I'm getting paid for it. It's like bare minimum work. It's internship. It's a great opportunity. You get, a very, very, very valuable document saying that you've worked at a university, which, is gold. So, yeah. try and do something like that if you can. I mean, I'm not saying that for me this will end in sunshine and roses and I'm going to be a millionaire. You know, if maybe you're going out a different route with economy and investing in something or whatever. But like I said, think about it. By the way, it's long enough into the video, we can crack open a cold one. Well, kind of cold. This is a lager beer called Deep. D-E-E-P. I mean, it's just Deep. I'm going to try and figure out where it's from. Let's see. I think it's Czech. Let me clarify why, because all the text is in Czech. Could be Slovakian too. It doesn't say. I'm sure you can Google it and find that it's probably from Hungary or something, but the text is in Czech and Slovakian, so it's a Czechoslovakian beer. Look, the history jokes are never going to stop. Either way, that's me there. What about video games? Well, oddly enough, my attitude towards video games has changed. That is a scary sounding sentence. What I mean is, recently I just haven't been enjoying them as much as I used to. And I don't think it's down to me, I think it's down to the type of games that I play. I haven't played Warhammer 2 in a while, and I don't really feel like it. It's not in the mood for something like that. You know, not really. I think I've played enough of that game that, you know, it's like, it's not really new, fresh, or exciting anymore, which a game doesn't have to be, but, you know. However, pretty much everything else I've played has been sort of middle of the run. The two games that I've really only been enjoying are this, Project Zomboid, which is incredibly fun, and World of Tanks. You know what, you've been enjoying World of Tanks. You know how many negative things people have to say about that game? Oh, believe me, I have plenty of negative things to say about that game, but I still kind of like it. Like, this game is your best friend and your worst enemy, and I think 70% of the time I hate it, but 30% of the time I love it, and that's a ratio that's dangerous, because you don't have the best of times playing it, but at the same time, those 30% are really, really high, right? That, like, you feel really, really good in those 30%, in that 30% of the time, right? When the tank just clicks, RNG treats you well, all the stars are aligned, you know, the team is just good enough to not be losing 15-1, but just bad enough to have you know, play an important role and carry them. Those kinds of battles are really what gets you going. Unfortunately, they don't happen all that often, and today was... well, to be honest, today I was playing pretty terribly, but today was probably one of the worst days in World of Tanks ever, and honestly, it kind of got me excited for tomorrow. So there you go. Like, that's what I think about World of Tanks. Good game, really good game. Imbalanced and horrible at the same time, but yeah, also a very good game. Has to be said. Either way, that's been on the video game front. Other than that, I have tried a whole heap of stuff. I've played Halo a little bit. It was fun. It was kind of nostalgic, especially the first Halo game and the new back of remastered stuff. Actually, the first two, Reach and well, Reach is, I suppose, chronologically the first. After that, Combat Evolved, I think. It's they're nostalgic, they're fun, but not something that I'm really excited to play. Now, occasionally I'll pop it on and be like, yeah, alright, this is fun, but not too special. I haven't played Halo Infinite. I think I'll like that decently enough. But then, other than that, like, what else is there that I've played that I've really enjoyed? Not much. Well, actually, quite literally nothing. There was a few games that were just good. A couple of them indie. A couple of them I've covered on the channel, which is really something that I really should have done more of. First impressions and stuff, especially in the last few weeks. Content's been getting a bit stale, so I will definitely want to fix that. But either way, like, I haven't found anything that I really, really like other than these two. And it's more than fine, don't get me wrong. It's two games that you like, you play them, there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like before this, it was a lot better. It was a lot more enjoyable. Like, before this year, I would say. Because I've played, like, Stalker Anomaly the year before. Now I'm playing it for the YouTube channel, so I'm not really mentioning it. Obviously, I'm enjoying it, but it's getting a bit old because I've played so much of it. I'm kind of excited to go to some of the new areas, so, you know, after I do that, I'm pretty sure I'm done with Anomaly for a while, until some new and exciting mods come out. Actually, there's one specific one that I'm looking forward to, which is a Tarkov kind of overhaul and remake of Anomaly. Very cool. Speaking of Tarkov, boring. No, look, the game is probably in the best place currently that it's been in ages because of the new content, because of VoIP and all those good things, and I know the community is loving it, and I'm very happy for Tarkov. I really, really am. I'm super happy for Tarkov. It's a great game. Fair enough, it has its problems, but I really do enjoy it. And I wish the people that are playing it the funnest of times. It's just that for me, I don't really see it as fun anymore. I've played enough of it to finish most of the quests. I've seen most of the gear, and to me it's just kind of lost its charm, honestly. Not quite sure why, but it's kind of meh. And then has there been other stuff that I've tried out? There's been like adventure games here and there. There's been Kena, Bridge of Souls, which is cute, which is fun. But it's kind of the thing where I would play for like 30 minutes or 40 minutes of it, and I'm like, nah, alright, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. The one thing that I did find exceptionally enjoyable over the last few months is literature. And I think, with that said, had past me heard this sentence a couple of years ago, he would have probably jumped out of an airplane of some description, sans parachute, right? I never thought I'd say this in my life, but it is true. Video games, again, I don't think it's down to me. I think it's down to the video games that I've played, and, okay, partially maybe because of my mood, but partially because of the games too. Haven't been really doing it for me. Literature, however, has. Oh boy, is it fun. I had to do a lot of reading for university, obviously, and that is, well, you don't really enjoy that, because you don't really get to immerse yourself and like something. For example, I've read Blood of Elves, the first novel in the Sapkowski series, and it's a great book, don't get me wrong. The language is really nice, but the translation by, I can look it up, because I have the book here, and I probably should. Because it's kind of my responsibility to give credit now. So, do you know what? Give me a second. Let's see. Bloody hell, where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Okay. Sorry. So, Andrzej Sapkowski, translated by Danusia Stock. There you go. Translated by Danusia Stock. And let me just sit down next to the microphone so you can hear me properly. The translation is phenomenal. There's a couple of notes from the translator here and there, which really, really help with appreciating and understanding the beauty behind Sapkowski's writing and his style and everything. The story is really fun. Characters are really well written, really well done. It's a great piece of literature. However, you don't really get to enjoy it when you're reading it with a purpose, or rather with an academic purpose. That being to write a paper on it, among other things. And there's been a couple of other books like that I've had to read, but I've also read a couple for personal enjoyment. I've mentioned Eisenhorn a couple of times. I'm a slow reader, by the way. I take ages to read something. Like, to read Eisenhorn, the first book, I think it took me like over a month, because I would read like 10, 15, 20 pages a day, and then move on to something else, because it's fine to read a whole book in a day. More power to you, but the way I like to do it is I like to really read it one word at a time, and really appreciate the phrasing, all the neat little descriptions and everything, you know. And obviously, it has a good side and a bad side. The good side is you get to really, really in-depth analyze and experience a piece of literature, whatever you're reading. You get to divulge all the different layers of meaning. If there's puns, if there's metaphors, symbolisms, all of those things, you don't really miss out on them if you're reading like slowly and then methodically like that. Squeeze every bit of meaning out of it. But at the same time, you know, you've taken a month to read like a 200, 300 page book. That's not exactly great. There's, you know, positives and downsides, of course, as with all things. But at the same time, I really, really liked it. There's a couple of places where the phrasing is a little bit awkward, and I'm pretty sure I found one spelling error in the book, which is kind of awkward, because it's written by a native English speaker, and I'm the one that's now supposed to send them a comment saying, "Oi, mate, this... I'm pretty sure here it's supposed to say on, not in." It wasn't on. It was something else. It was something about hand, but on hand makes sense, but this didn't. And it wasn't offhand either. It was. The meaning of the sentence was he was holding a sword in his hand and he was holding something else in his other hand. But the preposition was wrong and it can't be used in that sentence. You could use, like, his offhand weapon was something. Yeah, absolutely, that's exactly what it means is that situation, right? Primary or dominant hand using one thing, the offhand using something else, the other one, right? Precisely, but here it wasn't off. It was something else. I think it said maybe it did say like his on hand on the something, but I don't think there was repetition. Either way, I found something like that. It was kind of silly in the first book of Eisenhorn, Hereticus. Either way, that has been really fun, and I've also started reading what is possibly slowly becoming my favorite non-40k sci-fi thing that I've read, and that is The Dark Forest. Now, I know The Dark Forest is a second in a series, a second novel in a series. However, the three of them aren't connected. There's different characters, there's different settings. It's just that all three of them are sci-fi, and all three are written by the same guys. They're kind of in a series, but not really. They are fairly independent. You can read whichever one you like. The Dark Forest is really, really good. The premise is aliens are coming, but they don't have FTL, so they're going to be here in about 400 years. It's up to humanity to prepare for it. However, there's a twist in that, well, you know, aside from the obvious human nations bickering and all of that, there's also spies helping and working with the aliens on Earth right now. And it's really, really good, and I think I like it the most because of the writing style and it being so bloody unique. It's a Chinese author, so as Westerners, we don't really get to experience something like that. For example, the very first scene in the novel is told through the perspective of an ant. Now, aside from the myriad of obvious symbolic interpretations and the entire thing being not really a metaphor, more of an allegory, considering allegory. I think it's allegory. Either way, more of an allegory of I guess the human condition and the status that we live in. A couple of other things there as well. It's just unique. Like, you don't really get to ever see that. Very cool. Certainly very, very cool. Either way, let me lubricate some more. Lovely. Those are the things I've read. There's also been a couple of other things, like I said, for uni. A couple of things for myself. I've read, though this was quite some time ago, the first book in the Horus Heresy series, Horus Rising. Seeds of Heresy are planted? Sown? Give me a second. Sown. I had to get up and look. It's been a while since I've held the book. Yeah, it's just been fun. It's just been fun, and obviously I've read some of Sapkowski. Yeah, sure. Well done. Butcher his name. God damn it! That's the Polish guy, Andrzej. Some of his works too. I read some of the short stories. I read Blood of Elves. I've read The Last Wish, which is short story. I think that's pretty much it. Anyways. There were some utopian works that I also had to read. Part of the course were 1984, Brave New World. Though I've read those before, so nothing really too exciting. They were fun they were fun to read, and they were... I don't want to say enjoyable, because you don't read 1984 and Brave New World and think, yes, this is very enjoyable. It's actually kind of the opposite. It's kind of terrifying and haunting, almost. But at the same time, they were interesting reads, certainly. I think I've liked that more than video games, to be brutally honest with you. Played some CK3, a little bit of it, and I thought I was going to record it for YouTube, and I started recording it, and then I realized I'm not having fun with the game. I'm really not. It's still missing content. It's still not at the same level of CK2. Even after all the DLC. There's going to be like the Royal Court or something that's going to come out. It's probably going to improve things a little bit for the game, but at the same time, I don't hold out too much hope. So yeah, it's been a bit of like a mix and match kind of thing. Just want to make sure we have a working stove. Alright. Please, something good. No. Terrible. What about you folks, though? I'm genuinely curious. You kind of feel the same way, especially with the pandemic and everything happening. It's letting up and then kicking up again, and then back and forth, and then more back and forth. Really, I'm curious to know how you're doing in regards to this, like the video games and entertainment in general. I did watch some good TV shows and some good movies, though. Some of them depressing. I saw Don't Look Up recently. Really good movie. Really, really good movie. Horribly depressing. Terrifying. It is just the society we live in. It genuinely is. And it does have some political implications of, other than the obvious. But I think they did a good job pretty much across the board of making a parody, but not really, of you know, the media and mainstream media and everything. So yeah, I like that. Either way, let's move on and talk about a topic very near. I like timing it with the fighting. Topic very near and dear to my heart, and that's gun control. Oh, YouTube's just demonetized the video. No, what I mean is, I'm going to talk about where I am in the entire gun process, which is kind of a good segue to some of the other stuff that I also wanted to mention tonight before we bring this to a close. So, about No, actually it was about a month ago, I think. About a month and a half ago or so. I think it was around the beginning of November. I started doing all the paperwork and everything necessary to get a gun license. And at that point, I was forced to tackle the behemoth that is my country's gun laws. And I'm still fighting this behemoth, or rather, the behemoth fighting is kind of on hold because of the holidays, but and also because of my finances, which aren't necessarily the greatest, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. So I was initially hoping to bypass the law about gun control, well, not bypass it, to pick the path of least resistance through it, and get a membership in a shooting club or a sports club for firearms. The terminology in the name changes from one paragraph to the next. It's highly confusing, but I'm pretty sure it all refers to the exact same thing, which is probably the worst thing that it can do. Either way. I feel like I've said either way like 50 times. Sorry. I go and I try and do it like that, but I realize that that's not really going to fly. See, you do need that membership, but if you want to get anything that's of a higher caliber than .22 long rifle, you need a reason to get it. Now, some of you might be saying, a reason? Oh, well, good. You could just say that you want it for self-defense. You could say that you want it because you're a collectionist. You can say all sorts of things. No, you can't. There are 3 reasons why you can have a firearm. 3 justified reasons. Everything else you say is not justified. And I just want you to think about how sick that is. How deeply, fundamentally sick that is. That the government can deem whether your reasons are justified or not based on whether they fit their 3 definitions, which are extremely narrow. So there is no space whatsoever for individuality here. Now, before you claim this is for safety reasons, I will dissuade you from that notion very quickly, believe me. And we will talk about it. And like I said, this is going to be a stupidly long video. It's 48 minutes. It's probably going to be another 48 minutes of me talking about guns, but yeah. Bear with me, there is something interesting here for you. So you do need that, but you also need one of 3 reasons. You need to prove that you have one of 3 reasons. One is you need it for your job. That being a security guard, a bodyguard, and I don't know of another job that requires you having a gun. At the same time, those jobs will probably require a license to carry the firearm. So you can have it, but you can't carry it around. You can carry it around if you disassemble it, put it in the trunk of your car, lock it in a safe, or lock it in those plastic suitcases that they're, well, not suitcases, but, you know, the cases that they get you when you buy the gun. You can lock it in that and then transport it like that. That's fine, but you can't carry it on you in a holster. In order to get that, well, you just can't get that. I mean, it doesn't matter where you work and how you work and what you're doing, you cannot get that. The only people that can get that are the people that already have the license, and there is a fair number of them. These are people that have previously worked as security in banks. They can have it because they already have the license, but new licenses are pretty much not given. And this is not coming from my mouth, this is coming from the mouth of 2 separate lawyers I've spoken to about the subject. And they both said, mind you, they work in big cities, and one of them works in the home city of the biggest weapons manufacturer for the Balkans. In fact, one of the biggest weapons manufacturers in the world, Zastava Arms. And in the home city of Zastava, there has not been a new license to carry issued in I don't know how many years, decades. And he just says that there has been one guy that tried his darndest. He did everything he could, brought all the paperwork, even tried bribing people, tried both legal and illegal ways of doing things, wrote to the Ministry of Defense, wrote to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, went to the capital, to Belgrade, to argue his case to the minister, to the ministry, and then the people working at the ministry. After literally thousands upon thousands of euros spent, they still told him, no, you can't have it, your reason isn't justified enough, you can't have it. And he needed it for his job. So, yeah, he pretty much told me that just don't do that. You'll be wasting your money. It burns, it burns my heart every time I think about that guy, because he spent so much time and effort and money into trying to get it, but he didn't, so don't do that. I'm like, okay, I didn't want a license to carry anyway, because it's a different culture here, right? We don't carry guns around here, not really. We have guns, most of which are illegal, at least according to official UN statistics, EU statistics or whatever. We do have guns, but we don't carry them around. Either way, I keep saying either way, gotta stop it. I'm like, fine, I didn't want a license to carry one anyway. I mean, I knew it was impossible to get, but what about just buying one? Well, turns out my plan didn't work, so I need another reason. So obviously, it's not for my job. I'm a bloody English teacher, professor at the best of, in the best of cases, even though that's technically not true, and, maybe it will be at some point, but, and maybe they won't check, but either way, no, you don't need a gun for that job. Even though I would argue otherwise, but never mind. According to the ministry, and according to the government, you don't need a gun for that. So job is not an option. Okay, what about personal security? That is the second option here. Well, in order to get a gun for personal protection, which, by the way, is not called a gun, it is called a personal defense weapon, a PDW. Not to be confused with the American definition of PDW, which is a bloody submachine gun. Here, no, it's anything that is larger than 22 long rifle. Any caliber that's larger than 22 long rifle, and, well, I don't think there's an upper limit to it. I think most weapons can be registered as personal defense weapons. Shotguns cannot, they are hunting weapons. And I'm pretty sure, snipers, carbines, quote-unquote assault rifles, which isn't really a thing, rifles like that, probably also, you can't register them as personal defense weapons. Mind you, this isn't defined by law anywhere. How you can register your firearm is exclusively dependent on 2 people. The person looking at the gun, and the person writing the report. Which aren't in the same city. So I need you to understand this as well. Yes, the person that is going to tell you what your weapon is not sitting in the same city as you and the person that is looking at your weapon. This means, and this has happened to my friends, this has happened to people I know, that a hunting rifle is, in one instance, identified as a fucking pistol. He then had to appeal, had to complain about it, had to pay more money to get it, reevaluated or whatever you call it, to get it registered properly, so you can use it for hunting. But then there's also the opposite, where a 9mm pistol is registered. Is registered as a hunting rifle. Well, okay, to be fair enough, it wasn't a pistol. It was what you would call a submachine gun. It was a semi-automatic only submachine gun because fully automatic weapons are banned. Banned pretty much for everyone except the military. I mean, technically speaking, you can try and get a license for full auto. No one has one. I think in the entire country, which is about 7 million people, 7.5 maybe. I think 7.1 is the official statistics, probably less than that, honestly, now that I think about it. But anyway, in the entire country, I think 1 or 2 people have that. And they've gotten those licenses ages ago, so, like, decades ago. So, there you go. Either way, I just want to bloody, like, CZ10. CZP10 or P09 or something. A Glock or anything like that. I'm not looking to buy a fucking bazooka. Either way, I did it on purpose now. Let's examine what's wrong with this. So, the person in question bought a AKS. Well, not an AKS. He bought a Serbian-produced AKS, which has a different designation, which is more important currently for this conversation. And it was chambered in 7.62. No, Juggernaut. AKS is chambered in 5.45 times. No, it's not. This one is chambered in 7.62. And they registered it as a hunting rifle because of the caliber. No, they registered it as a pistol. Because the argument of the person examining the weapon was, technically you can fire it as a pistol. You can, like, hold it as a pistol. The stock would literally be resting on your nose, but you can hold it like that, and you can fire 1 round like that. Probably break your nose in the process, but never mind. You can fire it as a pistol, so it's a pistol. Okay, fine. You know what? I think, ironically, that makes it harder to buy and register than if it were a hunting rifle, but fine. Another person then buys a CZ Scorpion Evo. 9x19 caliber. Registered as a hunting rifle. Oh, sorry, a hunting carbine. See, the problem is, there is not a single animal in this country that you are allowed to hunt for with 9x19. Not a one. There is not a single animal that you can legally shoot as a hunter with 9mm Luger, 9mm Parabellum, 9mm Para, 9mm period, 9x19, whatever you want to call it. I think one of the myriad names for it is 9mm Long, which is, I'm pretty sure, only a Serbian thing, because we had, either way, we had some interesting calibers here. Also, it's 1mm longer than the Russian 9mm, which is 9x18. Either way. I really need to stop saying that now. I'm annoying myself. It got registered as a hunting rifle, and now, in order to get it back from the police and use it, he needs to do literally months worth of paperwork, become a registered hunter, all of those things, so he can use a 9mm glorified pistol with a stock. Fine. But what about using an actual pistol as an actual pistol for target practice, for competitions, for sports? Using a 9mm pistol, because those disciplines exist. You can compete, and they are actually kind of popular in Serbia too. Not allowed. According to the government, they don't exist, and if you want to compete, you need to buy the weapon and register it as a personal defense weapon. Now, I keep sort of juggling around this point why that's a problem. Well, the problem is you need to prove that your life is in danger. Or endangered. How on God's green earth am I supposed to prove that my life is endangered? Because, let's be honest here, for a lot of people, that's not the case. A lot of people haven't been shot at. A lot of people haven't been attacked on the street by an unknown assailant that then ran away from the police and got away and continues to threaten the victim to this very day. Matter of fact, I reckon that almost nobody in this country has experienced something like that. So how the hell do I buy a 9mm pistol? Well, the short answer is you can't, unless the person that is signing your documents is in a particularly good mood that morning. And that is the worst thing that any gun law can implement. That it's no longer about the law. It's no longer about safety. It's no longer about any of these things. Now it's all about corruption. It's about how the police officer feels. It's completely illogical and senseless. Before you ask, no, I'm not from Britain. This is the British laws are kind of worse, in due honesty. Well, not really. I think it's they're there somewhere. Honestly, it's tough to call. It's very, very tough to call. Like, who has it worse? Still probably us. Well, I don't know. I mean, the Australians have banned airsoft. I think Britain's on a similar road. It's really difficult to tell. Either way. Oh, God. Whichever one is worse, it really, really doesn't matter. To me, the most depressing thing is that I have the willpower of a lion. I'm joking. I'm absolutely joking. But I'm also kind of not, because I am willing, genuinely, to put in a crap ton of work, to do a crap ton of paperwork, to go through all the different loops, all the different safety checks, all the different background checks, psych evaluation, health evaluation. There's also a poll that they take from your neighbors to make sure that that all your neighbors are okay and none of them have a problem with you, and that they're all, all right with you having a pistol. If one of your neighbors says no, you can't have the gun ever. It doesn't matter if you move city, if 30 years pass, you can never own a firearm. Ever. Any kind of firearm. Now that's bloody scary and depressing, especially if you don't really talk to your neighbors all that much, which I kind of don't. Like, not really. Man, I've never had a problem with any of my neighbors. We have the finest of relationships, and I am confident none of them would ever say anything against me, because they would be lying and they have no motivation to, right? Because I've been nothing but a terrific neighbor, honestly. I've never had a noise complaint against me, never had... I've never had an interaction with the police. Okay, that's how much of a goody I am. I've never been arrested, I've never been questioned by the police, I've never interacted with the police, I've never been pulled over, nothing. Never. And still, this is not enough. This is not enough. In order to have a gun, I need to... Well, I'm almost afraid to say this because this can be used as evidence against me, but fuck it. It's an hour-long video. I doubt anyone was actually going to, listen through the entire thing to find this bit. Probably one of the best ways I can ensure to get a gun is to buy 10 different cell phone numbers, which are... I think you can buy 10 of them for like $1 or something, which is like, it's nothing, and then literally send death threats to myself. For like a week, 2 weeks. Then report it to the police, then continue sending death threats to myself, and then buy a gun. Unironically, this is probably the best way to acquire a firearm in my country. There is no way for them to track the phone numbers. If nothing else, I mean, for Christ's sake, you can make a phone call, just get the SIM card out of it, destroy the SIM card, burn it, make another phone call, send a message or whatever. Actually, don't make a phone call because, voice recognition and everything. Just send messages. Text messages, right? And just do that like 20, 30, 50 times. It'll cost you probably around like $5. Hell, if you want to really overdo it, pay $10 for something like that. Get like wildly different phone numbers. I mean, fucking hell, I move around a lot. I can probably do it from different cities too. I'm pretty sure they can't track that though, either way, because it's a burner. It's a burner phone, so yeah. Yeah. That's kind of the best way to do things. But I want to do it properly. I want to do it by the law, or I want to try and do it by the law. So now, first of all, I'm gathering money, because it's an expensive ordeal. Legally speaking, it's very expensive. The paperwork, even though I've done part of the paperwork, I have official, formal firearms training. I've passed the test, practical and theoretical. I shot a CZ99. I've hit most of the things that I was aiming at. That also did pretty good, considering I've considering my complete lack of experience and any real experience. Most people that go shooting guns there have a ton of experience from firing ranges. You know, you just go and pay like $10, $20, $50, fire a bunch of rounds, and then, you know, practice like that. Me, though, haven't really, had the opportunity, or, well, I had the opportunity, I just haven't really done that. So, with that said, I go in, I shoot my shots, I pass the test, I talk to the lawyer about it, talk to another lawyer about it, and now I'm stuck with one of two options. One is try and get the pistol anyway without proper justification, that my life is endangered, and try and plead with the police officer, telling him that it is 2022, well, will be 2022, terrorism is a thing, and terrorism is just not predictable. There is the entire migrant crisis happening in my country. Doesn't matter if this is not a political statement, by the way, in any way, shape, or form. These are just objective reasons why your life might become endangered. Your life also might become endangered because a lightning strike hits you from the middle of nowhere and you die. This is also something that can happen. Now, it doesn't mean that you should prepare for it in any way, shape, or form, but by the same account, you can get run over by a car and your life is endangered. You can get robbed and mugged on the street, and the person that's mugging you could be highly unstable, dangerous, armed, and he could kill you. The likelihood of this happening is fairly low in any Western civilized country, of which I partially include mine. But this is something that can happen, and by extent, your life is endangered. So I can plead with the police officer in charge of this and tell him that, look, these are the reasons, right? These are several objective reasons that your life might become endangered, no matter how unlikely they are to happen. So these are my reasons. With that said, please just sign this, because I really don't want to use the gun in self-defense. I don't care about self-defense. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to have a firearm in your house for safety. It's also a political tool, which is something that really should be mentioned. An armed populace is a hell of a lot more free by its very nature of being armed. It is a lot more feared by politicians. Your rights are a lot more guaranteed when you have something to defend them with. So remember that. For all the sort of potential downsides that legal ownership of firearms can have, which are, in all due honesty, negligent, because illegal firearm ownership will always exist. Bank robbers, criminals, terrorists, they don't care whether full auto guns are banned or not. They don't care if 10-round or 30-round magazines are allowed. They will have drum mags, they will have 60-round, 30-round magazines, full auto AKs, because, surprise, surprise, someone that's willing to use a gun to criminal ends does not really care about how he acquires that gun and what he does with it, and the black market for guns will always exist, especially in a country like this. So, either way, let's get back on track here. I can also plead with him and say that, look, I'm not really interested in any of this. I want it because I want to collect guns, I like guns, I like military history, I'm a huge fucking nerd, I want to compete with it, which I don't really want. Let's get this out of the way. I don't want to compete with this gun. I have no interest in shooting tournaments. I have an interest in shooting. Absolutely. I want to get a gun so I can go to a shooting range and use it. I don't want to get a gun to have it lying around as decoration. I want to practice with it. I want to use it because I fucking love guns. But either way, it's a good excuse, so shh. Say I want to just, compete with it. And all these things. And then just plead with him and possibly find one of the friends of the police officer and be like, yo, befriend him, quite literally. Take a few days to befriend him, and then you befriend someone in a few days. I'm using euphemisms here, like befriend him. You know what I mean? Like smooth things over, if you will, financially, and be like, yo, could you tell him to, it's like let it slide because I really want one. And after all of that, maybe I get a 9mm, or maybe I'll waste my time. The other option is to buy something in 22 long rifle. Now, 22 long rifle is child caliber. It is small, with an O. But, I'll tell you what, it's a heck of a lot bigger than a spoon, or a pipe wrench, or a knife or something. The best gun in the whole world is the one you have. In this case, apparently it's going to be a Glock 17. In the game, at least. The best gun in the whole wide world is the one you have, because, there could be nuclear bombs and railguns and all sorts of things out there. If you don't have access to them and you can't use them to defend yourself, they're useless to you. And this is where I really want to dissuade potential comments saying that 22 long rifle is not lethal. And I don't advocate this type of behavior, and I don't support this, and I don't subscribe to this way of dealing with comments like that. But it is really funny, so I'm going to say it. There's a response I read on Reddit about this, and the user said, I hear a lot of people saying that, the 22 long rifle is harmless, that it's like a BB gun, that if you shoot me with it, I probably won't even feel it. And he said, okay, let me shoot you. And all of a sudden, the person was like, no, I was joking, no. Yeah, 22 long rifle does not have the greatest stopping power in the world. Granted, it doesn't. I think if you claim that it does, you're fooling yourself. It does not have the greatest stopping power in the world. It's not the greatest round ever for self-defense. But it is also not terrible. It gets the job done most of the time, if you don't have anything else. A lethal shot to a vital organ, heart, brain, lungs, yes, even lungs, will knock the attacker out. Will stop him from attacking you. In most cases, it will kill him on the spot. And I really want to emphasize one thing here, is that the type of ammunition available to civilians in Serbia for 22 long rifle is very impressive. Matter of fact, in many shops, the only round, not one of, but the only round I could find for 22 long rifle was a fairly expensive bullet by an Italian company that's hollow point, that's very hot, as the Americans say, which doesn't mean it's attractive or anything. It just means that it has a lot of charge in it, so it has a lot of kick. More than a regular round does. And high velocity. So that means that it develops pretty good kinetic energy. It develops pretty good speed. And on top of all of this, it's hollow point, so when it impacts with a human body, its caliber will expand by a couple of millimeters. Well, a couple of millimeters. Yeah, actually, if it's a good hollow point round, yes, by a couple of millimeters. By as much as a couple of millimeters. So it's definitely not useless as a self-defense round. Is part of this just me coping? Yes, because I could also buy 9mm. Well, in a better world, I would also be able to get this license that I'm looking for. And if I do, which the more I'm looking into it, the more I'm thinking it's going to be unlikely that I do. But if by some god's miracle I do get the license, I can buy 9mm hollow point ammunition for self-defense. And that's obviously going to do a heck of a better job. And that's fine. It's kind of supposed to do a better job. I don't mind saying that. I don't mind admitting the fact. Now, hollow point talk done. Guns are not the only thing I'm looking to buy. Not the only thing I'm in the market for, as they say. There's a couple of other things. There's a couple of things that I bought that I didn't expect that I would buy. They came as kind of surprise purchases, if that makes sense. I bought a controller. I made a short about it, the DualSense. I really love it. At first, I had trouble setting it up, getting used to it. The Bluetooth is a little bit finicky too, but then I moved the Bluetooth receiver a bit sort of out in the open. It was plugged in behind my PC, like where the cables are. Now I've plugged it in the sort of front USB 3.0 thing. All of a sudden it works a lot better. I've also gotten free stuff from Xiaomi that I've also made a short about, in case you haven't seen it. I've got some wireless earbuds, got a smartwatch, or a band, or whatever it's called. It's gimmicky, it's a small little thing, but it's good for like monitoring health. It tracks heart rate. Mine currently is 90, which is not ideal. But I haven't slept well, so, couple of reasons for that. Not sleeping well, just a couple of reasons for the heart rate being high. I'm sorry, I'm very, very terrified of the zombies. Requires hammer and nails. Oh crap, okay. Luckily, I have some. Shoot. I'd escape rope. Yes. Okay, we're good. We can rest here. We're fine. Everything's fine. Wasn't worried for a moment. Who are you fooling? Alright. So I bought these things, and I'm not doing this to flex or to... Well, the first reason I'm doing it is to tell you about the things that I bought and to fully recommend them, because... Did you also... Well, actually, no. I fully recommend the phone that I bought, which is a... I bought a Xiaomi Mi 11 Lite. The new edition version with new chips. This is the perfect phone for me, honestly. It genuinely is. I don't want a very expensive phone, for multiple reasons. First of all, I don't need such expenses in my life, even if I could afford it. I probably could afford it if I really wanted to, but then I need to sacrifice something else in my life, so you get the point. I don't want to sacrifice something else, and even if I could afford a better phone, I don't want it. I don't want to, like, be at the edge of my nerves every time I drop it, or every time, I don't know, give it to someone, or someone ask me for my phone to call a friend or something. I don't need that in my life. I don't care about it, so a mid-price phone for me is perfect. For what I use it for, it's great. I don't care much about photography. I don't care much about, honestly, texting or calling either. I don't care much about the phone's functions. I use it for, like, two things. I use it for texting via Messenger and Instagram mostly. I used to use it for Twitter, but I deleted it, which is also something I want to talk about towards the end part of the video. Twitter as a whole. So I've used it for used to use it for Twitter, not anymore. Now it's Messenger and Instagram. I use it to check my emails, and I use it to watch YouTube videos, and upload shorts. And for the shorts, this camera is phenomenal. It's like 10 times better than the Nokia I had, so I'm very happy on that front. I mean, to be honest with you, it's kind of a cheap phone, but that's Xiaomi's policy. They create phenomenal phones that are cheap, or that was Xiaomi's policy up until recently, because now they're more of a recognizable brand. But their idea was to build up their brand by making phenomenal products that people will really advertise themselves, like through people like me, basically. I'm going to buy the phone, I'm going to be super happy with it, I'm going to tell everyone, like, oh, like, this phone's awesome, man. Like, it's cheap, and it's really, really awesome. So, if you're looking for one, there you go. If yours breaks, there you go. So, nearly done with this. So, I bought these things, and okay, so that's pretty much phone conversation done, right? It's a phenomenal phone. I use it for those two things. I used it a little bit for games. I've played like Minecraft Pocket Edition on it. I'll tell you about it, because I need something for the bus rides. It's weirdly specific, but every week I take about 4 to 6 to sometimes 8 bus rides. Each lasts about an hour. That's around 6 hours, or 6 to 8 hours, of doing absolutely nothing. Just sitting in a bus. I can't read in a bus because my head hurts horribly. My eyes hurt. It's because of the movement, right? Bus moves. The roads aren't necessarily the smoothest, so I can't read. But playing something that I can do, and I bought the phone, and guys from Xiaomi contacted me, and they're like, just give us like the receipt. I'll show us a picture of the receipt. We'll send you the free earbuds, and we'll send you the smartwatch, or the smart band, whatever. I'm like, yo, these earbuds are like 100, or like 90 USD, 80 USD, something like that. They're the most expensive earbuds I've had in my life. Mostly because I've used cheap earbuds, because not the greatest for audiophiles when it comes to earphones. I mean, I have a good speaker system. I have a GX gaming speaker system with a big bass and everything, and like that's fine. But when I put stuff in, like when I put earphones in, I don't really care about the quality of the stuff I'm listening to. Right? That's not. I'm usually listening to it again on the bus when I'm waiting for something, when I'm not on my PC. So quality really doesn't concern me all that much. And I am beyond amazed with these earphones. Waterproof? Splashproof, legally speaking. However, I did accidentally, while showering, drop them. And well, I can't be honest, I didn't drop them, my girlfriend dropped them, but details. I did drop them. Oh, they were dropped, rather. And they work fine. So, waterproof, more or less. Audio quality is phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. Way better than any headphone I ever had. They're called a budget Bluetooth or wireless earphone. Earbud, whatever. I don't really see why they're budget, other than the fact that they're kind of cheap. Because, you see, I've had the wonderful opportunity to test out a a 300 USD headphone. And I don't know how to tell you this, apart from being visually different, they sound, function, and work exactly the same. And the only difference is the $300 one came from a more popular brand. Now, I don't doubt that maybe, these ones are going to break sooner than those ones. And maybe that's why I'm paying extra, or those guys are paying extra. But until that happens, what's the point? And besides, I mean, it's so much more expensive that wouldn't you just, like, rather buy 2 of these? Almost 3 of these? If they're on sale or something instead? Plus, you gotta remember I got these for free, so I'm not really objective, but either way, I mean, to me, I think I got the ideal deal out of all of this. But I do want to talk about 2 more things before I end the video. One is that I bought a couple of these things, which on their own, they're not that expensive. Together, they make up quite a bit of a price. So I paid around like $300 something for the phone. I've paid around $100 something for the controller with the Bluetooth adapter thing. And obviously, okay, the headphones and the band I got for free, but they would have been like an extra $150 maybe. That's a good bit. That's a good bit of money, right? That's, again, depending on where you live. If you have a salary of like $10,000 every month, that's nothing for you. But for my country, for me personally, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to spend in a short period of time. And I was in a position to do that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not exactly rich. Kind of struggling financially, especially with everything happening in the world. However, at the same time, I did manage to save up a good bit of money over a lengthy period of time. And I was saving up money for 2 reasons. I want a gun, and I want a GPU. The GPU I need for video games, which I play a lot of, and I need it for making YouTube videos, which is my go-to hobby and something I've been doing for years. And also, I wanted a GPU because, well, it's kind of embarrassing, but the old one, or the one I currently have, the 360, goddammit, I wish, the 1060, has has 2 ports on it that I can connect monitors to. I have a TV and 1 monitor, and I have another monitor that's just sitting out in the cold right now because I can't connect it. The TV I can do without, honestly, because my family also bought a TV. They didn't buy one for me. They bought one for the living room. So I moved it there, or rather, we moved it there, and it's a great fucking TV. It's a 4K TV. I occasionally watch TV shows and movies on it. Again, it's another toy I bought around the beginning of this year. So, the reason being is the reason being, for the TV is, I didn't really contribute that, they bought it, but the reason being is I've managed to save up a lot of money because I no longer pay for university. Well, I haven't paid for university since the start because I've been funded by the government for doing really well. I also get paid monthly, by the way. I get paid like $80 monthly, but it's nice. It helps buy food sometimes and stuff. So I also don't pay for an apartment anymore because all my classes are on the weekends. Why would I pay for an apartment? Why would I live in another city and pay upwards of $500 a month just to be there for a couple of days a week? Well, actually, 2 days a week, and not even that, because oftentimes I come back on a Sunday in the afternoon, and then I leave at a Saturday morning, and most of the time I'm at uni, so I don't even see the apartment. I live with a roommate, or a good friend of mine, for 1 month, and she basically told me, if you want to sleep over on the weekends, the apartment's empty. I don't need it. I'm paying for it anyway, so just like come over and sleep over. That's fine. And we split the bills. Like I was I didn't pay half for it because it's kind of ridiculous because I'm there a couple of hours every week. Like, what, literally? Because my lectures are from early in the morning to late in the afternoon. So I literally just come there, crash on the bed, wake up, go back to uni, and then go home. Wouldn't make sense for me to pay half, but I did help pay, and I lived like that for about a month. And then we moved out because she didn't need the apartment either. I just realised that it's kind of a waste of time because now she's only in the city for about like 1 or 2 days a week anyway, so we both moved out, and then I've just been traveling, honestly. I've slept over at a friend's place, I've slept over at my girlfriend's place a couple of times, and I've been able to save up a lot of money. Not a lot of money. I've been saving up. Yes, I not really save up. I just haven't spent all that much. I haven't been earning exactly much either, but there you go. That's the world we live in now. There's a point behind me telling all of this. I swear it's not just a sub story. And the point is that generally we don't really appreciate what we have as people, right? Generally speaking, we tend to sort of like things when we don't have them, and we tend to appreciate things when we lose them. But I think it's important that in situations like these, where you got some really cool headphones, and you got like a phone, and you got a controller, to really like, appreciate what you have. Appreciate that you afforded something for yourself, and be like, you know what, this is mine now. I bought a bunch of books, right? I really appreciate that. Hey, you bought a bunch of books. That's great. It's hours upon hours of entertainment and learning and a whole bunch of other things that you bought for yourself. Like, that's great. Don't just move on to the next thing you want to buy. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Okay, yeah. It's good to have wishes and to want to buy a bunch of stuff, but appreciate the stuff that you do have and the stuff that you have bought and that you now can enjoy. Anyway, maybe I'm just a boomer ranting about it, but I don't think it's a good attitude to have. One of appreciation. Okay, so with that said, let me talk about Twitter and then I'll end the video. Probably. Twitter is a cesspit of the most vile kind of negativity and is generally just toxic, cancerous, and I hate it. Especially a couple of days ago was a very not nice day for Twitter, for me at least, because I've read a staggering amount of stupidity on it. People just straight up lying or telling you bullshit and just being stupid for the hell of it, and proud in their ignorance, mind you. For example, I read something about, it was a culinary thing. For those of you that might not know, I love cooking. I love to cook. I cook all my own food. I like ordering out when I go somewhere. I like eating out as much as the next guy, but I do love cooking. Most of my meals I cook for myself. If I'm in a rush, if I'm going somewhere, if I'm, have to have lectures to attend and I don't have time to cook, fine, I'll buy something, but for the most part, I'll cook my own meals, fruits and vegetables, meat, the lot. I can make all sorts of things. I can make mostly salty and savory stuff. Sweets, not really my thing, not that much. I mean, I made a mean cheesecake, I made a great tiramisu, but other than that, mostly I do roasts, sandwiches, pastas. That's kind of my favorite food, honestly, like those things. Stir fries, did a good bit of Asian as well, like rice with different kinds of toppings. You don't really call them toppings, sources and all sorts of things. But the culinary tweet that really pissed me off is how smoked and cured meats are the most unhealthy thing known to mankind, and how nobody except what was it? Nobody except the Italians and their quote. I think he used a not a racial slur, but like a insulting word. I don't exactly remember what it was. Dumb, idiotic, retarded, whatever. Like, artists think that you can make something like that and eat it and have it be acceptable, not healthy, acceptable. Which is wrong on so many levels. I mean, okay, a cured or a smoked piece of meat is not the healthiest thing known to mankind. Fair enough. I agree on this point, but his point was that it's literally poisonous, and if you eat like 10 grams of it, you will die, or your chances of dying will skyrocket by 5,000,000%. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like that's I was throwing around these figures, and it boggles the mind. It's not based on any science. You remember that responsibility to the scientific truth I talked to you about? Responsibility to honesty? Not here. Gone. Not with this guy. And he's insulting an entire nation based on his perception of smoked food. I love Italian cuisine. Hands down my favorite cuisine. I've tried others, and it's not to say that they're all inferior. It's just that for me personally, I find that there's phenomenal dishes from every cuisine in the world, obviously. But with Italian, I feel like whenever I pick up an Italian dish, I'm gonna love it. Like, whatever it is, even if it's some of the most exotic stuff out there, you know, like liver, kidneys, heart, I don't know. I think they have like a blood, not a blood sausage, but like something with blood. I feel like I'd like that too. Like, and that's by no means representative of Italian food. Like stuff like pizza and pasta definitely are, though not the way you mostly eat them in Western Europe and the US. That's a very big difference between authentic Italian food and Italian style restaurants and stuff like that. But which I have a whole, well, that's a whole separate video, okay? Either way, my point is, this guy really pissed me off, and I didn't want to argue about it. I never argue about anything on Twitter. I think I argued once in 2015 or something, and I've given up arguing on Twitter. And then that's fine, and then there's a bunch of anti Second Amendment posts, anti-personal freedom posts, anti-freedom posts in general about, you know, all freedoms afforded to you by my country's constitution, by the US Constitution, people calling for all sorts of brutalities, for all sorts of different groups, and I don't just mean like sexism and racism, I mean literally asking for government oppression because they disagree with someone politically, asking for censorship and stuff like that, and proudly, vehemently championing and pioneering this cause, and I hate it all of it. Honestly, it just made me feel miserable. And I deleted Twitter. 3 days ago, I have not felt more pleasant and better online ever. Well, maybe a few years ago when, you know, things weren't as toxic and as hateful and as polarized as they are now. And some will say they've always been like this. They've always been like this, but to lesser degrees, I think. But yeah, like, best decision of my social media life, honestly. Super happy about it. Deleted Twitter, love it. A good friend of mine deleted all his social media. He has Discord, and he does have Facebook Messenger, but muted, so he just uses it to contact me and some of his friends. And he feels great. He feels a lot better about it. It made him really reevaluate his life. I'm not calling for you to delete all your social media or something like that, because how that sounds. I definitely can't do it because, well, there's from pragmatic reasons. Like, I have a job. I follow people. I follow my professors. I follow my classmates. We talk. We exchange valuable information that otherwise exchanging it would be, well, exchanging it in a different format in different ways would be impractical. You'd have to pay for it, like, phone plans or something. Internet I have either way, so it's free. Or there's other impracticalities where we're not all on the same platform, etc., etc. So, it's for messaging people, fine, but for stuff like that, for the news, for toxicity like that, hell no. Hell no. But with that said, if you feel like something is making you feel like that, if you think you'd be better off without it, just go for it, man. Just try it, go for it, delete it, see where it gets you. I noticed that I've opened up Twitter on my PC about 15 times since I've deleted it from habit, and that really made me reconsider about why I'm doing some things that I'm doing. So yeah, it's kind of scary when you like by default go to certain places. It became a habit, so yeah. Very happy I deleted it. Absolutely hate Twitter. Honestly, just absolutely hate Twitter. I've seen a couple of good and positive things on it. Don't get me wrong. There's some wholesome content in between all the acid, but it's just so rare and it's not worth sticking around for. It really, really isn't. And like I said, it's mostly stuff like that where people are ignorant or plain stupid and proud of it and are just championing their causes and their stupidity and their misinformation. Half-truths and lies, mostly lies. I'm sorry. Stuff like that it's really like, it's it's just horrible, honestly. It's plain and simple, it's just horrible. Okay, so is there anything else I wanted to mention in this 2 hours of Project Zomboid? Well, a little bit, I guess. If you want me to continue playing this game on the channel, do tell me about it. I doubt I'm going to make a series while my other 2 series are going on, because that'd be a bit much for me and for any sensible and sane person. But then again, Anomaly is going to end soon, probably. So, maybe we'll be able to fit this in. It's an exceptionally fun game. Honestly, with this gameplay, I'm not doing it justice. I'm not doing it justice at all. I'm playing extremely gun-ho. And I don't have a care in the world, honestly. Because if I die, I'll just make a new character and life's good. This one I made just for this video, but yeah, like, it's an exceptionally fun game. Really enjoy playing it. Okay, that's going to be, I think, more or less it for this video. Unless I think of something to talk about right now. No. No, I should have probably written like a mini script about this. Would have avoided some repetitions and would have gotten through it faster, but like I said, this was mostly for the New Year's and having it be like a podcast stream kind of thing. Which, now that I think about it, I've talked about some really negative things, and it's supposed to be the festive season and New Year and everything, but to be honest with you, I don't feel particularly festive, yet. That's not me being negative, that's me coming from a different culture where the holidays haven't begun yet. That's the only difference. Our holidays begin pretty much on New Year's Eve. We don't celebrate Christmas at the same time as most of Western Europe does. We celebrate it on the 7th of January, because we still follow the Julian calendar. So it's because of that reason, you know, our holidays start a little bit later, so, you know, that's kind of the reason. But I do want to say, despite all that, that I am exceptionally grateful for all of you, and for YouTube, and for everything that that has happened to me and to the channel over the course of this year. I think at this point almost quadrupled in size as a channel this year. A bit of it is, well, a good bit of it is down to luck. A good bit of it is down to, I would assume, my consistency. And the fact that I haven't, you know, increased more is due to me not being perhaps as consistent as I would like. Both in terms of quantity and quality of the videos. That is something that I want to work on. That is something that I definitely want to improve. I want to upload more, and I want to upload better quality videos and make better content for you all, of course. And that is something that I will, for sure, strive to do in the future. That said, though, I do want to tell you how grateful I am for the support, the views, the comments, and everything. It really does mean the world to me. I mean, this is probably the one thing I'm most passionate about, is my YouTube channel. I want to grow it, I want to create YouTube videos, I want to entertain people. And I haven't, this isn't, you know, me going on and on about some higher purpose or something, some bullshit like that. But to me, it's like almost a reason for living. God, how does that sound? Like how dumb and bullshittery or bullshit-ish does that sound? But in a sense of, I really do have this profound sense of fulfillment when I make a video that people enjoy and that entertains them and maybe helps them get through the day, maybe puts a smile on their face, or maybe they just find it interesting. Right? Maybe they watch Stalker, U-Boat, Fallout, whatever, and they find one of my videos from like 5 years ago, and I have comments like that, and they always bring a huge grin to my face. I had someone watch my Fallout content, like binge watch my entire Fallout series a couple of days ago, and he left like a dozen or so comments. Actually, it was a couple of weeks ago, to be brutally honest. But either way, had someone do that, and I was so bloody happy because I made something that's permanent, that's out there. Or at least as, you know, as much as anything is permanent as far as YouTube is concerned. But I made something out there, and it entertained someone. Someone had fun watching my videos while they were doing something else, or just sitting there and watching my videos. It helped them get through the day. It just entertained them. And to me, that's bloody awesome. Like, there's nothing more I could ask for. I have this extreme sense of fulfillment every time I get something like that. And what I mean is, it's not about the views, it's not about the money, it's not about the sponsorships, it's not about any of those things. I couldn't give a rat's ass about it. It's a means to an end, right? It's a means to an end. Of course, if something helps me reach out to more people, the hell yeah, I'm gonna take it, right? But at the same time, I don't want to focus on making this a business. I don't want to focus on making, you know, I'll give you an example. The correct, quote-unquote, thing for me to do was, when I made that short video, was to transition the entire channel to shorts. That way I could, well, I would have a chance, not a very good one, but I would have a chance to explode my channel into, you know, never-before-seen here proportions. Because YouTube really liked my shorts, and it really liked everyone's shorts. It was really pushing that kind of content. Nowadays, it is, but not really. Certainly to a heck of a lesser extent. And it would have been a great idea to just transition from regular content to doing shorts. Preferably theme them around a particular thing. Could be airsoft, could be video games, could be anything. Just theme them around something and upload them at the same time every day. That would have been killer for this channel. But that's not something that I want to do. I want to record shorts every now and again for my subscribers. I don't want to have people come here for the shorts. Which, I guess, ironically is what happened, but What I mean is, I don't want this to be the focus. I don't want shorts to be the focus of the channel. I want to do what makes me happy. I want to do what I'm interested in. I want to do Let's Plays. Let's Plays are pretty much my go-to thing. That's what I like doing the most. I also want to do first impressions. You know, I want to do tutorials because that helps people and that puts a smile on my face. Stuff like that. And occasionally I want to talk about stuff like this, you know. Hobbies, guns, politics, literature. Stuff that really I care about and I'm passionate about. So yeah. Anyways, I've opened up, I think, quite a lot to the internet today. I've spoken about deeply personal issues and deeply personal things to me. And I just, you know, I'm just putting it out there. You can take it how you will. Pretty much. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you very much for... If for some reason you're still here after... sorry, after so bloody long in the video... Truly, thank you for everything. And I hope that I can be entertaining and provide quality content for you in the future. That's really all that I can hope for. I hope to see you in some of my series and some of my videos. And until then, my name's Juggernaut. Thank you for listening to this horribly long rant about all sorts of things, which was not really in a festive spirit, I would say, but at the same time, I had a lot of fun doing it. I'm sorry, the noise combined with the stress of the situation is getting to me a little bit. But like I was saying, at the same time, I had a lot of fun doing it, and yeah. And that's about it from me. Have fun, take care, and bye-bye. And I will see you all next time.